Alright guys, good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's go ahead and get started for this morning. Okay, so today's assignment is something slightly different. I used to do this as a group project, but we can't really do that right now, so I just modified it to be a individual project. It'll just be just a normal assignment. Okay, and so the one we're doing today is the stock market forecasting. And really all you need is this, the Word document, which has the kind of assignment or steps. And so you can open that up. And on these ones here, I did some examples of it in case you need to look at mine as an example, but I'll do it again now to work with it together. Alright, so just open this up. Okay, so what we're going to do is just use some of the simple forecasting methods we've learned in the past couple days or weeks, and use those to do a simple forecast on some stock price data. Okay, and so this is the assignment, and I'll do an example so you can work through it. It's not really that challenging, but you're going to get some actual data and do some simple exponential smoothing and some moving averages to make a little prediction. Okay, and so step one is just I want you guys to choose any stock you want, and I'll show you how to get the data in Yahoo Finance. So just like I said, I used to do this as a bigger group project where one group would pick a stock and do like a presentation, but we don't have the technology and we're limited right now, so I'm just going to have you guys do a condensed version just individually. And so you're going to choose a stock you want to look at, get the monthly data in Yahoo Finance. Okay, and then you'll just put your data in Excel, and we'll look at the closing price, historical closing price over time, and I'll show you exactly how to do this. But you can go to this link right here for step one. Okay, so all you want to do is just pick something you want to look at for an example to do a couple forecasting methods. I don't really care what you choose. And if some of you guys choose the same one, that's okay. Hopefully everyone doesn't choose the same exact thing. But I'll do something as an example, and then you guys can try to repeat the thing with a different stock. Okay, so I'll do the same example that I did previously that I already put on Blackboard. And so the one I did was the stock for Nordstrom. Okay, so you can choose any example or any stock except for this one because that's the one I put as an example, and so obviously can't do that one. Okay, so normally if you go here just to the search bar in Yahoo Finance, you can search for whatever you want, and normally the first hit or the first thing will be the one you want. So if I just search for that again, okay, so usually the first one is for like the New York Stock Exchange or the first hit. In this case, it's JWN. It will be your 3 or 4 acronym symbol. Okay, so just search for something you're interested in, or just want to look at here, and just click on it. So search and then click on the first one. Alright, and then you should get to some home page like this on the Yahoo Finance website for that particular stock. Okay, so does everybody see what I'm doing so far? Just pick something, search for it, and then go to the page on Yahoo Finance. Is everybody able to do this? Okay, well, if you have any questions, just let me know because we're just using the Yahoo Finance website. It's pretty easy to use. Okay, so once you're at this home page for your whatever stock you chose in Yahoo Finance, you can just click on the historical data tab. Oh, so Gonzalo, I just asked if everybody was able to go to the Yahoo Finance webpage and pick something. So here's the example. It's this one here, and if you just open up the Word document, so we're just doing a simple uh, project or assignment where you pick a stock and do a couple forecasting methods. And so all we've done so far is to go to the Yahoo Finance website, search for a stock you want to examine, and then go there. Oh, okay, all right. Okay, so we're here, and we go to the historical data tab. Okay, and then you want to change the time period to include all of it. So if you click on this little drop down next to the time period, just hit the button that says max, and that'll give you all of it. Okay, you can leave the historical prices as good, but change the frequency to monthly. Okay, so the time period's max. You can leave the show historical prices, and the frequency is monthly. And then just hit the apply button. Okay, and so assuming everything went through, after that, just hit the download button, which will give you an Excel file. So download. All right, and it should get a spreadsheet, and we'll have to. It's in a CSV format, so we'll just have to save it as Excel, so it's easier to work with. But just how did you max on the time period? All right, just click on the drop-down menu and choose max. All right, and then if you get the spreadsheet, just go ahead and open it. And let's see, here we go. Okay, so you should get something like this. You should see whatever stock you chose. You should see the symbol on the tab. So this is JWN. But we're gonna do some stuff with this. But just is everybody here so far? So were you able to get the spreadsheet with the months and all this the stock price data? So did everybody get to this point for whatever you chose? Okay. Well, if you're not if you need any questions on what we've done, just let me know. But let's continue. So if you have this spreadsheet, the first thing you want to do is just save it as an Excel file because you can't do all the features with the CSV format. It's a compressed format. So just click on. It should say like save as right here, or you can just do the normal. So if you go to File and then Save As. Okay, so save it wherever you want, as long as you have it accessible, and just save its file, save it as an Excel workbook. So change it from the CSV type to an Excel. So save it as an Excel workbook because that's what you wanted it. So save it as an Excel workbook like this. Okay, so now we have the same data in an Excel workbook, just like this. It should look pretty much the same, except it's now an Excel workbook, not the CSV file. Okay, so the assignment says you only need the closing price, which is the close column, to do this analysis. So you can get rid of the rest because you don't really need it. So just keep the date and the closing price. So if we go back to the spreadsheet, which is now an Excel document, the only thing you need is that E column, the closing price, so you can delete the other columns other than the date. So if you want to select the B, C, and D column, which is open, high, and low, you can just delete that. I'm going to select it and just hit the delete button. Okay, on the home tab, just hit delete. And then you can also delete the same way, the adjusted close and the volume. So I'm going to select C and D now and delete that. Alright, so all you need for this assignment is the dates. Well, you don't really need the dates, but the dates show what date it is, and the closing price shows the closing price. So at this point, all you need is the dates. So here's the date from, it's going to be a different date period for whatever stock you chose, depending on when it went public. But this one goes from March 1980, and it should go to the current month, which is May 2020. All right, so everybody good on saving it as an Excel workbook and then just deleting everything except the closing price? All right, so the closing price is the actual closing price in US dollars. So it's nice just to format that column as currency. So you can select the B column, which is the closing price. Okay, and on the home tab, just click on format and then format cells. Okay, and you can change it to currency with 2 decimals with a dollar sign, so it actually looks like US dollars with the dollar sign, and hit OK. Alright, so there you go. So you should have the date for whatever stock you chose and the associated closing price at each month. Alright, so it's likely that depending on the industry or stock you chose, that it's gone down a little bit, like Nordstrom has since March, given the state of the economy, right? Okay, so if you got this is step one, just to get the data. into an Excel workbook and just be working with only the closing price. That's all you need. And all we're going to do is use a couple of the methods we've already learned to forecast or just make some predictions on the price for the next month, which would be June. Okay, so step 2 is we're going to do a moving average with the one month forecast and look at the errors, and we're going to do a exponential smoothing with the 1 month forecast. And we've done this before, but we'll do it with this data so you can see how you can just get new data and apply those techniques to whatever time series you like. Okay, so we're going to do a moving average with the error, with the absolute error and the absolute percentage error, and we'll do the same for the exponential smoothing, and then we can look at the findings. So I'm just going to make some labels in the column. So I'm going to do an alpha equals for the I'll do the moving average first. So I'm going to do the moving average of 2. And you're welcome to do, if you want, you can do a different moving average. You can do a moving average of 3 or 4 or whatever. But I'm going to do a moving average of 2 because normally it's hard to predict longer averages of stock data. So I'll just stick with a moving average of 2. Okay, and the D column will be the forecast error. So I'll just call it error. And the E column will be the absolute percentage error, so I'll call that title. Okay, and then we'll do the same for an exponential smoothing method. So you can pick a different alpha, but I'm going to use an alpha equals 0.9. Okay, and we'll need the associated error and the absolute percentage error for the exponential smoothing method. So you can make titles for those. Okay, and so I'm going to give these, I'm going to make the CD and E column, I'm going to give that a separate color so I know that goes with the moving average. So if you want, you can select C1 to E1 and make it a specific color, like light blue is good, and I can do the same to make this distinct exponential smoothing column. So if you want to select F1 to H1, and then just give it a separate color so I know what goes with the moving average and what goes with the exponential smoothing. Okay, so everybody good thus far? Okay, and so let's just estimate the moving average of 2 if you're doing 2 like we did in the previous example. And so to do a moving average of 2, just take the average of the last 2 observations and then apply the same formula down the entire column. Okay, so you gotta have at least 2 observations in the past to make this calculation. So you go to C4 and equals. Okay, so it's the average of the last 2, moving average of 2. So it's the average of B2 and B3. Okay, and then you can just apply that same formula down the column. Just choose or keep selected C4. Double click the bottom right corner. Okay, so it should apply the moving average of 2 all the way down the column, so I can go down to the bottom. Okay, and so assuming your data goes up to May 1st, that means that we're trying to forecast the next month, which should be June 1st. So just make a little indicator there, where 485 is going to be 6/1/2020. Okay, and then you can take your moving average formula in C4, well, whatever, it's going to have a different range than me because we have different ranges of data, but take your last one in the C column from 5/1 and just drag it down one more. Okay, so the moving average of 2 for June 1st should be the average of the last 2 observations, which should be April and May. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to freeze the top row again so that I can see what it is when I go down. So if you want to do this, it might make the data easier to see when you're down at the bottom. So go to View, so View, and then Freeze Frames, and then Freeze Top Row. You want to do that? Okay, and that should lock the top row. Alright, and then we just need the error and the absolute percentage error for this moving average of 2. So starting in D4, the error is just the difference. So it's the actual closing price minus the moving average closing price. So it's just the B minus C. So in D4 equals B4 minus C4. Right? So the difference between what you predicted and what happened. And then you can drag that down all the way to the bottom, to the last observed row. Okay, so you can drag it down to the row for March, or not March, May 2020. Okay, and then to get the absolute percentage error, we've done this a bunch of times, but you want to take the absolute value of the difference over the actual. So equals ABS, starting in E4, double parenthesis, and then B4 minus C4 over B4. All right, equals ABS, B4 minus C4 over B4, actual minus predicted over actual. Okay, and you can drag that one down to get the APE for each row. Okay, and then you can, well, we'll get the average of both of these, but first let's make the E column look like it's the percent error, so you can format it just to be percent. So if you want to click on the E column and change the format to percentage, all right, and then the last cell below, right next to the forecast, you can calculate the average error and the average absolute percentage error, so the mean error and the MAPE basically. So right here, in the June data, or below your last error calculation, just take the average of the errors. So equals average of this whole column. So starting with D4. Okay, so it's the average of D4 all the way to your last observed row. So it's going to be a different range, but D4 to the bottom, D4 all the way to May 1st. Okay, so the average error should be close to zero because it's supposed to fluctuate around zero. And then you also want the average APE, which is the MAPE. So you can also take the average of the D column, or the E column. Alright, so go right here under the last APE, and in the June data, take the average of everything up to May, so equals average. The average of E4 to your last May data piece. Alright, so the average of everything in the APE column. Okay, so let me just make a note of what these things are. So this one here is the June forecast, the MA2 forecast. Alright, so that's the 6-month MA2. This is the average error. Or let's call it the mean error. And this is the mean APE, which is the MAPE. And I'm gonna highlight these the same color as the MA2, so I see what this correlates with. And so there you see for the MA2 that this is the next month forecast. This is the average error, and this is the MAPE. Alright, so everybody following along so far? Alright, so we'll do the analysis for the alpha equals 0.9, the exponential smoothing, if everybody's able to follow this so far. Alright, so let's do the exponential smoothing. If you want to do an alpha equals 0.9, you can do that. So starting in the F column in F3. Alright, so F3, just type in equals B2. And then in F4, let's specify our equation. Alright, so equals parentheses, so alpha, which is 0.9, times B3. And then plus another argument is 1 minus alpha, which is 0.1, times F3. Alright, so it's alpha times the last observation plus 1 minus alpha times the last forecast, so 0.9 times E3 plus 0.1 times F3. Alright, and then if you got that, you can just double click it or drag it down the entire column to get all the alpha equals 0.9s, including the 1 month forecast. Alright, so you should see the one you get for June 1st should be 0.9 times the last observation plus 0.1 times the last forecast. Alright, so to get the error, this is the same thing, it's just the actual data minus the prediction. So starting in G3, it's just B3 minus F3. Alright, so the first error is B3 minus F3. Okay, and you can drag that down all the way to the bottom. So apply the error formula for all of your closing versus alpha equals 0.9. So just take B3, drag it down. All the way to your last main version. Okay, and then let's get the APE. So starting here in H3, same formula equals ABS, absolute value. Another parenthesis and take actual minus predicted over actual, so equals ABS, B3 minus F3 over B3. Alright, and then you can drag that one down, the whole column for this. So take H3, drag it down to the bottom. Alright, so your last one should be the May 1st column, or May 1st row, sorry. And if you want, you can click on the H column and format that to be a percentage. Alright, and so right here, we just need the average error, and then in the next cell, we just need the average APE. So just like the last one, we want to see what the averages are. So in this cell for June, take the average of the errors. Alright, so the average of G3, so whatever the last one is, will give you the average. Alright, so again, it should be close to 0 because your errors are supposed to fluctuate around 0, and then you want to take the average APE. In this cell, the H cell for 6-1, so take the average here equals average. Okay, so average of H3 to the last May error, so the whole column. Alright, and then I'm just going to make a note of what these things are. So this is the forecast for exponential smoothing where alpha equals 0.9. This is the mean error. And this is the MAPE. Okay, and if you want, you can make these the same color as whatever color you chose for the exponential smoothing section. Alright, so we got for June, next month, we have the MA2 forecast, the mean error in the MAPE, and we have the alpha equals 0.9 forecast, the mean error and the MAPE, all in this little section here. Okay, so for mine, this one was about 10% off, and this one was about 8.84% off. Okay, any questions on this so far? Everybody able to follow along here? Alright, so you've done the moving average with the 1 month forecast and the errors, and the same for the exponential smoothing with the forecast and the errors. And so all you have to include in your assignment is first a time plot. Alright, so you can make a little graph or a time plot of your historical data so you can see it over time. Alright, so go back to your data sheet and just make a graph of the closing price over time. So if you select the A column and the B column all together, so you're going to select all your data that you started with. So the first month of data all the way down to May and the associated closing price. So select the entire A column and B column because we're going to make a little line chart of that. Okay, so if you have the A and B column selected, you can go to Insert tab and Recommended Charts. And you want the line one should be on there, so just click on a line chart and hit OK. Alright, and so you can do any formatting you want, but you see a nice graph of what the closing price was over time. So you can see the whole thing, the whole data series, starting with the first month to the most recent month. And so you're welcome to play around with the options or the formats or the versions, but just make sure you get some line chart that shows this, and make sure you just make a note of what it is. So this is the closing price for Nordstrom. So there's yeah, and that's the stock symbol. Okay, so there's a graph. And then the only thing, what else you need is the moving average forecast. So you just want the equation for the equation for June, which has the forecast, and then you want the mean error and the mean forecast error. And so you don't need to include the whole spreadsheet. When you assign it just a graph and these pieces of data. So for example, I could just I'll open up a separate Word document that I was going to put my assignment on. Okay, if for some reason you don't have access to Microsoft Word, you can just take a picture of it and send it like that. But if you can do it on Word, you can just copy and paste or just put your chart on a new document for your assignment. So the chart I made is this one. So I'm just going to select it and copy it. So Control C is copy. And then if you want to if you want to paste it onto the separate Word document for your assignment, you can just go to the paste menu. And usually one of these options will put it on there for you. All right, and then all you need is a little section for the moving average and a little section for the exponential smoothing. So down below, I'll just make a note of this is where the moving average items will go. Okay, and you want to write the equation with the forecast, and then just include the mean error and the MAPE. All right, so if you did an MA2, we can specify that right here. Okay, and so it should be for June, if you got all the data up to May, and so I'm going to put a little subscript to indicate that it's for June. All right, and then just type in your equation. So you're taking the average of the previous two observations. Okay, and so you're taking the average of most likely April and May. So for mine that was 1878 and 1734. Okay, and a moving average of 2 is just add those two together and divide by 2. Alright, and you can calculate this out, but it's already been done in the spreadsheet, so I know that I should get this number, but you can double check it. So my moving average of 2 for the last two observations came out to $18.06. Alright, so there's your MA2, and if you want, you can put the associated the mean error and the ATE right below it, so you can see those statistics. Okay, so the mean error was 5 cents. Alright, and the MAPE that you already got from the spreadsheet is 10.12%. Alright, so there you go. You just specify your equation that gave you the forecast with the forecast, and throw in the mean error and the MAPE that go along with that moving average. Alright, and then I just need to put in the stuff for the exponential smoothing, and that's all you need for this assignment. Okay, so we can specify the exponential smoothing forecast, which is just alpha times the last observation plus 1 minus alpha times the last forecast. Okay, so I did alpha of 0.9. Okay, and so this is again for June 2020, so you can make a little note. I'll just do a little subscript if you want to do that. Okay, and this is equal to alpha, which is 0.9. Time is the last observation in your data, which is from May. So for mine, it's $17.34. All right, and then plus 1 minus alpha, which in this case is 0.1, and then times the last forecast from alpha 0.9, and so times this number. 18.63. All right, and that gave me, you can double check yours, but from the spreadsheet I got this. My alpha 0.9 for June was $17.47. All right, and then all you have to do otherwise is throw in the mean error and the APE into this little section for your assignment. So the mean error was 4 cents, and the MAPE was 8.84%. Okay, so that's all you need for this assignment. So step 3 has what you need to put on your what you turn in. So just the time plot and the moving average with the equation, like I did, and the mean error and the MAPE, and the same the equation for the exponential smoothing and the mean error and the MAPE. So just like this here. All right. So for your whatever stock you choose, all you have to turn in is this page. So just a page with the graph and the equations and the errors. You don't need to turn in the Excel file, just this stuff here. So just this one page of information that like this, and hopefully you were able to follow along. But I'll put this video on YouTube in case you need to re-listen to some steps. And I put my examples that already have this, my spreadsheet and an example of what you turn in are already on Blackboard. All right, so there's an example of what I would turn in for Nordstrom, and there's an example of the spreadsheet if you need that for an example. So, So when you're done with this one, this is due next Monday, and it just goes right here. And so this goes into the just a normal Blackboard form. And again, you just need to turn in the one page, not the Excel file. Okay. So any questions on this assignment? All right. Well, so that's what we have for this week. So just now the next Monday you have those two assignments due. Example 14.7, 14.8, and the stock market forecasting. And then we're done with the forecasting stuff. So next week, our last chapter will be chapter 10. So we'll do some simulation models. We'll do 2 or 3 of those in chapter 10. And yeah, so that's what we have for this week. And if you have any questions, let me know. But otherwise, that's it for today's session. And I will see you guys on Monday at the same time. And please have a good weekend and stay safe. And thanks for joining via WebEx.